I posted on Instagram recently asking for business startup questions or things that people wanted more information about. One great question I got was, should you invest the time to doing all the official stuff, setting up an entity and getting an employer ID number and maybe getting a lawyer and drawing up all your documents? Or should you just put the idea out there and get a domain and start marketing? What should you do first, the marketing or the official work? My preference has always been get a domain and just do the brand, the fun stuff to see if the idea actually makes sense. So I shot another video, we can link to that, about 5 ways to test if your business idea is worth you pursuing. And that's where you need to start. So if you're thinking about going down this path, don't waste time with all the official paperwork and the legal stuff and the operating agreements. Yes, you definitely need that up front. And yes, especially if you're starting a business with a partner or something like that, you want to get that stuff squared away. But if you don't have a brand and an idea that resonates with people, and you don't have dollar number one, then none of the other stuff matters. So I always think you should validate your idea first, get that domain, maybe put a couple dollars into a logo, and put the idea out there, flyers or Craigslist, or run a few ads and see if your idea makes sense before you spend $1 on legal and administrative stuff. And then if you've got an idea that made sense and you really want to pursue it and you've convinced yourself to do it, then go register everything and get your tax ID number and make a formal entity, and all that stuff can come later. But first, make sure the idea is worth investing the time in. Okay, so you've got a new business and you want to make it official. What are the steps that you go about to make your business actually formal, official? So the easiest thing you can do is buy a domain name. I always start any new business idea with doing a search, coming up with a cool brand name, and making sure that the domain and all the social handles are available. Because if you're going to advertise the business and you're going to get customers, then obviously you need something that people can easily get to, and that starts with a domain. So remember, your domain or your URL, that's your website, that's your email address, and that's all the different landing pages you're going to send people to. So start with that. Make sure you've got something good that's available. If you're planning to build a big brand, a national or international brand, you could start in the US with the US Patent and Trademark Office just to see if you've got an available name. So something that is unique, it's a name that maybe you made up or it's your name, likely could be patented or trademarked. And so start with a quick search on USPTO.gov and you can see if that name is available. So number 1, look for the domain. Number 2, USPTO. The next thing you're going to want to do is pick an entity type. So I'm not a lawyer and there's a lot of great info out there, but the basic types are, you're either going to be a sole proprietor, which means you're just doing business as yourself and you're going to have some kind of Schedule C on your tax return to report that self-employed income and pay taxes on that income. That's being a sole proprietor. Next, you might be a partnership. That just means you involve multiple people. In Arizona, where I'm from, very common is an LLC, a limited liability company. That gives you some extra liability protection to make the entity, the business entity, separate from you as a person, your personal entity. You can also have an LLP if you're a professional organization, and then you can have a corporation. So you can be a C Corp or an S Corp, and really it's just a difference in terms of taxation, with an S Corp having pass-through income that flows through you personally, and a C Corp paying taxes as the entity individually. So again, I'm no CPA, I'm no lawyer, but you're gonna wanna pick an entity type that makes sense for your business. So register that entity, do it with a lawyer, make it official. Next thing you'll do is register with the state. So once you've got an entity picked out, you've got a domain or a name that you're going to go with, you've done a patent trademark search, register with your state or wherever you live. So this could be a city hall, it could be a commerce office. So you might have to go to your state capital. You might be able to do it online. It really depends on where you live. There's great resources. The Small Business Administration is a great resource to figure out where you should actually file, but you're going to want to register the entity with the state. And then you want to, maybe if you've registered as a corporation in a different state, you need to register foreign status in your state that you're going to operate in. So that's something else to keep in mind. Once you've got that registered, you may need to register at the city level just to be sure that you've got a license to do business in your city. And then you're going to want to get an EIN, a federal EIN. So in the US, a business can have a tax ID just like you would have a social security number to pay individual taxes. A business has an EIN, or an employer identification number, that you need to register for, and that's just through the IRS. So that's simple to do. The last thing you'll probably want to do is register for a bank account or maybe some credit cards. So again, you'll take your articles of incorporation or your articles of organization, you'll take your federal EIN number, and you'll be able to go to a bank and open a bank account so that you keep your personal finances separate from your business finances and they don't get commingled. So there's just some very basic things that you should do to get your new business up and running. Make sure you follow all those steps. Search online for some more information or comment below if you want to have a discussion about how I've started businesses in the past, but don't skip these steps. Very important to get it set up right from the beginning.